Hello, my name is Skylar Fox, and I am making a video game. It is called Project Mycer, and it is a 3D action-adventure game with some JRPG elements. You play as Max Darren, a 20-year-old college student who suddenly gains superpowers just 9 months prior to the game. Of course, he decides to use this newfound power by dressing up as a masked hero named the Masked Guardian. The basic core of the game has actually been in my head for a long time, and I actually attempted to make the game many years ago in my early days of learning Unreal Engine 4. And yeah, this footage isn't really pretty. Thankfully, I did have the sense to stop production at the time in order to work on several other smaller projects first before eventually getting back to this project. Almost 2 years ago, after having worked on several unfinished smaller Unreal Engine projects, I finally made my first finished Unreal Engine 4 project, which is a 3D action RPG remake of the starting dungeon from the indie game Master of the Wind. You can actually play that by going to the link in the description of this video, or you could watch my Let's Play of it where I talk about some of the process and decisions behind what I made. The game is pretty short and can be beaten within 15 to 30 minutes on average, but it taught me a lot of really valuable things about making an Unreal Engine game from beginning to end. So taking the lessons I learned from that project, I felt confident in being able to return to this one and start anew. When I initially started this iteration of Project Mycer, I immediately started working on the main primary thing that the player will be engaged with: combat. It started with me designing and modeling the main character himself, Max, and then I actually modeled the superhero suit around his already existing model, just so I can get the proportions right. Then after making some very basic movement animations, I started creating these generic cube enemies. They would just be used as a placeholder that would be easier to animate. My approach to this was generally to start with what kind of moves I thought would be fun for the player to perform, and then I would make the hit reaction animations for the enemies that would kind of correspond with that. Before even touching any kind of AI movement or attacking logic, I just wanted to make sure that smacking around the enemies as test dummies felt good. The basic control scheme for the game is that the player uses one button for a light attack and then another button for a strong attack, and various combinations of the two can lead to different combos. The player can launch enemies into the air and either knock them around for a bit or send them speeding down to the ground. The player has a dodge and a guard and can lock onto enemies. Once a player has defeated an enemy, the targeting system will automatically switch to another nearby enemy, if there is one available. My inspirations for combat largely come from many of the action JRPGs that I've played and loved, including Nier Automata and the Kingdom Hearts series. I'm going for something that feels fast and requires good timing, especially in harder difficulties. The kind of combat that I'm actively avoiding is the kind of free-flow combat that frequents many Western superhero games, such as the Batman Arkham games, which is somewhat ironic as what I am making is a superhero game. It's not that I dislike the combat in those games, I just find that they make it a little too easy for players to coast by, and it just doesn't fit well with the kind of feeling that I'm really aiming for. Combat is something I'm going to be slowly adding to and adjusting throughout all of development, and in fact I'm probably going to be tweaking things all the way up until the game is finished. But once I got a good foundation in, that's when I could start moving on to other parts of the game, including the actual systems that will make the game work as a game. But for now, that will be it for today's devlog. I do have future devlogs planned in order to describe other aspects of the game, and I plan on continuing to make more updates as development continues, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of them. Thanks a bunch for watching, and have a great day.